course, over the next hour, we're going to break down all of the Week 0 games. We've got highlights, we've got scores, we've got analysis coming your way, and we want you to be a part of this show, HS Game Time Live. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. You can also call in, give your take, have a question. We'll also have the reporters on so they can break down the games, and you can also give your analysis as well. If you want to follow us on Facebook, we're right here at facebook.com/High School Game Time. That's on Facebook. Then on Twitter, all you have to do is hashtag HSGTFB. So anything inland area high school football related, hashtag HSGTFB. So Twitter, Facebook, and the phone number, if you'd like to call the show tonight, it's area code 951-824-6357. Once again, 951-824-6357. So we want you out there to definitely be a part of what we do here on HS Game Time Live. We'll be live from 10:30 to 11:30 each Friday night throughout the high school football season. And you might have noticed we've got a new set around here. A big thank you to San Bernardino High School for the lockers. We've got helmets from, start from my left to right, Notre Dame, Chaparral, Poly, Rialto, Ramona. We've got jerseys from Norte Vista, Ramona, Santiago, Chaparral, Notre Dame, Cajon. So if you don't see your school up here, there's still time. You can send us a helmet, a jersey, maybe a banner, something we can hang. So if you want to be part of the show, please send us something. We'd love to be representing your school as well, not just all these schools, and we'll kind of mix it up as we progress through the season. Okay, that's just the top off the show. We're going to get to the scores in just a second. We've got lots of highlights to get to. First, we're going to start with a shocker. Elsinore taking on Rancho Verde. Our Angel director, he's back there with all the video highlights. Angel, let's go to that first game, and it was at the Rancho Verde High School. There's the Mustangs. The last time we saw them, they beat Palm Springs for the CIF championship. The Mustangs back on the field, number 15, Damone Backus. Miriam Swanson knows all about him, transferred from West Valley. He's a big-time linebacker. Early on, first play of the game, the interception by Rancho Verde. So the Mustangs go on offense. Their first offensive play, quarterback Sherion Jones on the keeper. Get in there. 7-zip, the Rancho Verde on top. Then later, another super sophomore for Rancho Verde, the tailback. Keyshawn Slaughter gets in for the score, making it 14-0 in the first quarter. Later in the first, Elsinore trying to get something going. Quarterback Tommy Wilson, wearing number 22. Love that for a quarterback. To Ryan Lavadier. Big gain there up the field, and that would set up this. Sean Pico getting in for the touchdown right up the middle. That makes it a 14-7 game. Later in the first quarter, Jones calling his own number, breaks loose, and he's going to scoot to the paint, and the Mustangs go up 21-7. Then in the second quarter, the Mustangs going to the air. Jones to the University of Washington commit, DeMaurier Stringfellow. He takes it in. The Rancho Verde led 28-19 at halftime. But guess what? In the second half, Elsinore storms back, and Elsinore defeats Rancho Verde tonight. Final score in this one, 46-42. So we're going to have more highlights from this one as we do a Saturday show now here at HS Game Time called the Scouting Report. So we'll have some bonus highlights of Elsinore defeating the defending CIF champion Rancho Verde tomorrow on the HS Game Time Scouting Report. Now, moving on. Ramona taking on Rubidoux. And Ramona with a new head coach, Damon Dustin, making his head coaching debut. Go ahead, Angel. Let's roll that video. They were on the road taking on Rubidoux in Week 0 action. EPJ was out there at the game early on in this one after a blocked field goal. Jesse Jones takes it in for the score, 72 yards. Then Daniel Young had a huge game for the Falcons, gets in for one of his touchdowns. And then later, Young is going to do it again. This one goes about 67 yards. Young and Rubidoux, they go on to defeat Ramona tonight by a final score of 42-14. All right, back out here in the studio. Moving on to Citrus Hill taking on Poly. Citrus Hill advancing to the CIF semifinals last year. Poly hoping to get something going this year, but they're taking on a very good Citrus Hill team. Let's take you out there to Ramona Stadium tonight. There's Trevor Hodge. Some news on him that I think Miriam's going to break down for us in a second, but early on, I mean, he looked good. He gets in here on the keeper. The deuce is loose. Gets in early. 6-zip for Citrus Hill. Then KJ Young. He does a little bit of everything for these guys. Tips the ball. One-handed interception there for Citrus Hill. So the Hawks going back on offense after the turnover there. P.J. Walker, number 4. Get used to this name, folks. Walker goes in for the touchdown, making it 12-0. And Citrus Hill just on a roll. The Bears could not do very much against this team. This highlight brought to you by the letters P and J and the number 4. P.J. Walker gets in again for a score. He was just all over the place tonight. There he goes again for another touchdown. Miriam Swanson in just a moment is going to tell us all about P.J. Walker. And there he goes again. This one we're going to say for about, 68 yards maybe, Miriam, on that one. So they led 33-0 at halftime. So Citrus Hill goes on to win by a final score of 40-15. We've got a big scoreboard over there. We'll get to that in just a moment as well. A lot of new wrinkles here on HS Game Time Live this season. Miriam Swanson at the game. Citrus Hill. What's up? How about Knuckles? Right. Blow it up. Boom. All right. So Citrus Hill and Poly. We knew Citrus Hill was good. Wasn't sure about Poly. I saw them at a scrimmage last week. They were excited to get the season going and were optimistic. But Citrus Hill, that good still? Yeah. The short answer. I know. But so I heard, and let me confirm this, yes. Trevor Hodge, did he finish the game with Citrus Hill?
No, he played like a series and change because he kind of got a little post-whistle scuffle with Aaron Thomas, who is one of Poly's, the Beard, one of Poly's leaders.
You got to love the Beard.
Yeah, and the referees weren't having it. And it wasn't anything really major. It was kind of maybe a little bumping, and Trevor may have kind of swung the ball in Aaron's direction. I guess we'll have to see tape from somewhere.
Was it.
And the referees weren't going to have it today. I'm going to start the season off right, I guess.
So even with Trevor Hodge not in the lineup.
Well, that opened the door for PJ.
Yeah. I think PJ Walker. I mean,
PJ Walker. He's a junior. He's his coaches were like, well, he doesn't really talk, but he had his smile spoke. His smile spoke volumes after the game. He was pretty excited. 334 yards and 5 touchdowns today.
Those are Davian Payne numbers.
Well, I was going to say DeAndre Cooper, Davian Payne. Yeah. Like they've had some running backs there before, so this kid may be on track for that. He's a hard runner. He's tough, strong runner. So
Citrus Hill, they were a CIF semifinalist last season.
Yep.
I mean, were you impressed seeing them in their week 0 showing?
Yeah, they're big and they're fast and they look like what you expect an elite team to look like. Stephen
Van Hook, their stud linebacker, did he have a pretty good game out there?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. But I mean, KJ Choi with that interception. KJ did a few things that were pretty spectacular.
Yeah, if you watched it, we'll show the highlight again later in the show. He tipped it, stayed with it, caught it one-handed, and had a nice return on the other end of it.
That's a Division I football play right there. So it's pretty cool.
Is he going anywhere yet? I don't know if he's going anywhere yet. I know Stephen Van Hook's looking at a lot of D1 schools. So. Yeah. All right, well, thanks, Marion. Yep. You did a great job tonight. Pretty easy.
I don't know. You haven't read my story yet.
I said, how good is Citrus Hill still good?
Yeah.
Instant analysis right there. Thank you,
Marion. All right, thanks, Pep.
All right, now let's go to the big board, and you cannot make fun of my penmanship because I can't write that well. I guess I flunked kindergarten or something. But let's go to the big board, Angel, with all the scores over there. And Javier, if you want to zoom in on some of these as I'm talking about them. The big shocker, as we talked about off the top of the show, Elsinore stunning Rancho Verde. There it is, 46-42, your final score. Pretty unbelievable in that one, but they get it done. Elsinore on the road. Rancho Verde did not lose last season en route to the CIF championship, but they lose in game number 1, 46-42. The final. Let's go right above that one, Javier. Redlands and Rancho Cucamonga. Rancho Cucamonga, one of the top-ranked teams in the entire state, and they take care of Redlands, who in the HS Game Time rankings, Redlands checks in at number 6. So the Terriers do have a good team, and Rancho Cucamonga wins 40-17. Let's scroll to the left. Chaparral and Cajon. Chaparral going on the road and beating the Cowboys 42-20, your final score in that one. Chaparral lost this game with the Cowboys last season. All right, let's come back over here to the studio and talk more about that Chaparral and Cajon game. Now, Chaparral, one of their star players, Skylar Siebold, if you tune into HS Game Time much, you saw the story that Skylar was injured during the summer, some 7-on-7 summer passing league stuff, a sprain of his MCL, I believe it was, and he was kind of taking the preseason workouts, the training a little light, just to make sure he was ready to go for the season, especially week 0 against a very good Cajon team. And but you'll see in these highlights, they really didn't need Skylar tonight because Justin Harris had a huge game. All right, Angel, let's go to those highlights. Cajon taking on Chaparral. And they go hard, those Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? But as we mentioned, Justin Harris just had himself a ball game. Javier, our man on the scene, getting that spin move around that Cowboy defense, and Cinco gets in for the touchdown there. And then Harris, take that, rewind it back, breaks a couple more tackles, gets through the traffic and in for another score. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Harris gets the call, and he's loose on this long touchdown run. And how about one more Harris touchdown before we leave here? Oh, actually, you know what? We're going to go to the air. How about that? Chaparral, they can throw the ball too. So not only can they run with Justin Harris and Skylar Siebold, but they can also go to the air. As we mentioned, Chaparral wins this one 42-20. All right, now let's go back to the scoreboard, Angel, and go over some more of those scores that we were talking about tonight. Javier, let's go to the Crenshaw and Santiago score. We're actually waiting for highlights of that one as Crenshaw comes to the IE and picks up a 43-31 win. Crenshaw will face another Big 8 League team next week when they take on Norco out here in the IE. And let's go down from there to the Jurupa Valley Canyon Springs. That's another game that we are trying to get highlights of. We're expecting video, so if you don't see them tonight during the live show, we will definitely have them during our new HS Game Time Saturday show. We're calling it the Saturday Scouting Report. So Canyon Springs, winless in 2011. They get the job done tonight in their Week 0 season opener, 27-21 against Jurupa Valley. Highlights of Canyon Springs' big win tomorrow in the Saturday Scouting Report. Now back over here to the HS Game Time Lounge, joined by Chris Ercole. He was at Heritage San Jacinto. Chris,
It was. Well, I first arrived at San Jacinto High School to find out that the game was at Hemet.
How dare they?
How dare they throw me a curveball like that? But luckily, I got to the game before any action happened, and it started out a little slow. Everyone kind of getting the wheels turning, oiling up the gears a little bit. But Heritage would be full throttle. They're looking to impress. Let's roll to the highlights here. Coach Broach and the fellas trying to defend their honor after getting so close in the CIF last year. Slow start to the game, but it will also be a slow trot to the end zone for Pep's guy Jamal Morrow for the Heritage TD. 7-0 the score. San Jacinto, though, not ready to throw in the towel just yet. QB Pedro Marietta finds Tanner Bootsma scooting for the end zone to the touchdown. 7-6 Heritage. And if it's Heritage, that probably means a HEFO is going to be involved. This time it would be Lima High HEFO, the favorite of Peps. A touchdown score once again for Heritage, 14-6 now the score in the middle of the second quarter. Heritage defense would be sharp as well, forcing the San Jacinto fumble. They would also make the most of it. Check out this beauty in the air for the Patriots, dropping back. It's Matt, don't call me Terry Bradshaw, to Pep's Darius Allensworth for 6. 20-6 now the score. 26 also the score at halftime. It's Mr. Cal Bear. He's not done yet. Beginning the second half in style, returning the kick for a touchdown, running all the way to Cal Berkeley, I think it was. 27-6, the Patriot D also throwing in a few points as well. A safety, it's D lineman Moises Valvidia with the safety for Heritage. 29-6, throwing a field goal for another 3 points. 32-6 would be the final score tonight. Pep, that's where I would take off from there. And an impressive performance from pretty much the middle of the second quarter on for Heritage tonight. And of course, they're warming up for Rancho Verde, so I'm sure that's the kind of performance that they wanted tonight.
Well, did you hear the news that Rancho Verde lost to Elsinore tonight?
Whoa, Nelly, what was the final on that, baby?
46-42. Rancho Verde held the lead late. We're going to bring in David Lassen a little bit to talk about that game. But
Shock City.
Yeah, undefeated last year. They beat your Palm Springs for the CIF title. Undefeated last year in the first game out of the gates. They lose to Elsinore at home.
Maybe they were riding a little bit too high. I don't know what was going on there, but
they've got a very good team. I'm not really sure, but let's talk about your heritage, guys.
Yeah,
Actually, maybe my guys. Every guy you mentioned, like, oh, that's Pep's boy Jamal Morrow or Darius Allen.
But I know you've given a lot of those guys some FaceTime.
Love me some heritage.
Those guys, unlike Rancho Verde, of course, they lost in heartbreaking fashion in their CIF game last year. So I think that they're hungry. Of course, they don't have their quarterback, Chad Virgil, back. But they do have those other two dynamic guys in Morrow and Allensworth, and both were definitely full throttle, came to play. A little sluggish coming out to begin the game. Of course, San Jacinto, definitely the underdogs in this game, playing on a neutral field of Emmett High, as I like to call it, a Louis Amistoy Memorial Field is the nickname I give it. But they definitely look like they're ready to play, and apparently Rancho Verde, if they're not ready to come fire out of the gates, Heritage may be ready to shock them for a second week in a row. We'll have to see.
Yeah, Heritage has a lot of weapons back. You mentioned Allensworth, Jamal Morrow, and there's another HEFO, right? A Heritage they can't have a team without a HEFO or two. Yeah, Lima High.
He ran a little bit of action in the Wildcat, a little bit, not a whole lot, but he definitely got some carries in the backfield. And where there's I think the H in Heritage actually stands for HEFO. That's the rumor.
There's a Marvin HEFO, and there's a cousin that's on varsity, and I forget, I'm drawing a blank on his first name, but I think his last name's Taki.
Yes, Taki.
Yeah, Taki.
That name was called several times.
Taki.
Yeah.
So. All right, Chris, you're going to be back later in the show. We're gonna recap this game once again. But our man Javier standing by on the big board, the big scoreboard. I know he wants to show some more scores. So, hey, Javier, let's go to Beaumont Valley View. Beaumont picking up a big win on the road at Valley View, 30-23 your final score in that one. So congratulations to the Cougars. Next week, Beaumont will actually be at home for Citrus Valley of Redlands, and Beaumont will open up a brand new stadium. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this new stadium for Beaumont in Monday's newspaper, the Monday morning pep talk that I do. So I'll touch on that, their new stadium, but Beaumont opens the season with a Week 0 win, 30-23. And let's go down right from there, Javier, Temescal Canyon, Murrieta Valley. Murrieta Valley picking up a 20-point win, 35-15 your final score in that one. All right, coming back out here, remember, throughout the show, if you want to be a part, you can call us, and the phone number is 951-824-6357. That's great, but if you like social media like we do, we're also on Twitter and Facebook. On Facebook, we're facebook.com/highschoolgametime. So if you want to go on there and post a comment, give your take on the game. Maybe you were at the game. Maybe you weren't at the game and you want to find out what happened. So you can go on Facebook, or if you go on Twitter, all we ask you to do is type in the hashtag HSGTFB. So hashtag HSGT and then FB, and we'll get you involved here and maybe read some of your posts up here. In fact, Angel Garcia, or Angel, he's talking about Rancho Verde losing, Elsinore storming back in the fourth quarter, and Angel Garcia says, choke, capital letters, choke for the Rancho Verde. Rancho Verde led 42-24 in the fourth quarter, but Elsinore came back and beat the Mustangs. All right, we also have a fan poll up on HS Game Time's website right now where fans can go on there and vote. And Angel, let's go ahead and bring up that graphic because we're asking this week, which defending CIF champion will repeat in 2012? And you'll see right there, the first selection you have is the Rancho Verde, who lost tonight. But can they come back? Can they bounce back from a loss in Week 0 and get the job done for the rest of the season and win a CIF championship? And then the second selection was, if we can go back to that one, was Summit. Summit picked up a win tonight. They defeated Etiwanda, so Summit picking up a big win. They're back on track, I guess, to win another CIF championship. And obviously Vista Murrieta. Those are your three choices. So on the website, there is a blog post that says HSGT poll. So you can go on there and vote, and we will You can vote till Wednesday, and we'll give the results next Friday during the live show, and we'll also post a new question for you so you can vote as well. All right, still to come, we're going to have even more highlights. We're going to hear from Centennial and Norco, who had the night off. They did not play in Week 0, and we're going to have even more highlights and analysis. But first, we're going to take a quick commercial break.
You're here with DeAndre Reed from the Minnesota Vikings. You're watching HS Game Time Live. Go Vikes.
And welcome back to HS Game Time Live. I'm Pep Fernandez. We're going through all the highlights and scores of Week 0 plus analysis. And we're on Facebook and Twitter as well. We just heard from Angel Garcia saying Rancho Verde choked tonight, losing that big fourth quarter lead against Elsinore. If you have a tweet, a Facebook post, go ahead, hit us up here at HS Game Time, and you might even get on the live show. All right, continuing. Before we get to the highlights, we want to let you know that Norco and Centennial, some of the top teams in the inland area, did not play in Week 0. They'll play next week. Norco will get Crenshaw. Crenshaw came to the IE and beat Santiago tonight. We'll have those highlights on the Saturday scouting report. Crenshaw against Santiago. So next week, Crenshaw gets Norco. And Norco, their quarterback, Colton Gerhardt, you can kind of say he's going through a Tim Tebow situation because we all know he's a great runner and he can throw as well. He just wants the opportunity to throw a little bit more, and he's hoping this season he will get that chance. So let's roll the tape and hear from Colton Gerhardt this season.
How about overall the Norco offense? Colton said he's excited. He wants to go to the end zone a little bit more through the air. You know, he wants to be more than a great runner. I mean, how do you kind of see the offense working?
Sounds like a Tebow thing.
Yeah.
So he wants to throw the ball more than run. His strength is running, but he can spin the ball pretty good as the recruitment heats up for him. But yeah, we have a couple receivers that I think are going to do very well, so we can put the ball out there in the air. And we will go over the top of people this year. We have a couple fast guys, so and we might put him on the edge with a little sprint out pass too, so we can get his run pass options involved in the game later on, probably mid-year.
We were pretty balanced actually last year, but this year we're gonna open it up. You know, throw a couple passes in there. Hopefully more than a couple, but we'll see. Yeah, I like to be known as more than just a runner. I want to be seen as an actual quarterback. A lot of people see me as a running back, but I know I'm more than that.
All right, that was Norco. They open up next week against Crenshaw. Now moving on to Centennial. The Huskies play St. Bonaventure on the road next Friday. Now the Serifs came to Corona last year and they knocked off Centennial in their season opener. So Centennial looking for exacting some revenge next Friday when they hit the road for Ventura to take on St. Bonaventure, who's always one of the top programs in the entire state. So we caught up with Matt Logan not too long ago and asked him about the expectations that come when you play for a program like Centennial, who's expected to win league titles, CIF titles, and of course state titles. So here's Matt Logan and what he had to say about the expectations for the Huskies this season.
You know, our kids just step into those roles, and I think they understand the expectation level of what we expect from as coaches, and what their parents expect and what our fans expect and stuff. So, they're ready to, I think, to prove what they can do.
Will the Huskies be big and strong up front as they usually are?
I hope so. Especially on the offensive line, we have three of the five returning starters, so that's a good place to start.
All right, so who caught the Thursday night football game? The entire high school football season actually kicked off Last night, there was a Thursday night game in Week 0 here in the Inland area. That was A.B. Miller at home taking on Lakeside of Elsinore. And Miller came away with a big win, but they needed a big second half to pull away from this Lancers team. So let's go ahead and check out those highlights.
Let's come out swinging. The Rebels went on the road and won this game in a blowout last season, but the Lancers are looking to repay the favor. Second quarter, no score. Lakeside's Dakota Wilson hits Sean Cabrera on the touchdown strike. 6-zip Lancers at the break. Go ahead and laugh it up. It's all fun and games until the duo of Wilson and Cabrera do it again in the third quarter. 14-zip Lakeside on top with Cabrera's second of 3 scores in the game. Lakeside up, but you can never count out Miller. The Rebels go to the air. Quarterback Michael Watkins to Devon Brown, and he'll take care of the rest as Miller gets on the board, making it a 14-7 game. Later in the third quarter, Watkins makes his way to the paint. Get in there! The Rebels closing the gap on Lakeside. I guess they're a second-half team because Watkins calls his own number right there. And he's in for the score in the fourth quarter. Miller erupts for 39 second-half points. Trayvon Jones, the pick six late in the game as the Rebels open the season with a 39-20 victory.
These guys it's a close-knit group. They stick together. It's a family-oriented group. And nobody was negative in the locker room. We're down 6-0. Nobody was pouting. Nobody was throwing chairs around. They just kind of got together and said, let's just take one play at a time and keep hammering away, and it'll crack. And it did. I never stopped believing. You know, this group of kids fight so hard that we're always going to have a chance to win.
We talked to our guys in the locker room. We got our head focused, and our offensive line was blocking great. We had to switch some things on offense. They're covering our best receiver, Marte, so we knew we had to run the ball and get them coming up.
Well, we just put all our heart into it, you know, just hustle. It's all it. Just got to think, man. We all just got to work as a team. We work as a team. We play better. You know, we just got to get hyped up. If we get hyped up, then we're a good team.
And it gets even tougher for the Rebels. Next Friday, they play at Awanda. All right, let's go back over to the scoreboard. Check out a couple more of those scores from Week 0. Javi, let's go Vista Del Lago Tahquitz, kind of right there in the middle, 41-7. Tahquitz wins 41-7, so they start off with a victory. Now let's go kind of diagonal to the right, the Hemet Banning score. There it is. Banning blanking Hemet 46-0, your final score. So Banning opening the season with a convincing victory. All right, back over here in the studio. We're going to take a quick break, but first I want to tell you that I am very honored to be the host of HS Game Time Live, but it was between myself, Ron Burgundy, and this other guy. I don't know who he is, but he's kind of funny. So check this out, this other guy who tried out for HS Game Time Live.
It is a true honor to be here, a real treat, a real delight to be at the Press Enterprise, the #1 newspaper on the planet. It's been proven, #1. But how do you get video into a newspaper? I've been a fan of high school Gamma Team since I was a young little boy. It's high school game time. 2 words, game time. Gotcha. Who runs the show around here? Who is your leader? Dave Zink. Save Link? No, Dave Zink. That's what I said. Cave Stink. So why should we hire you for high school game time? I'm kind of a big deal. People know me. The Green Ranch Mustangs are poised to win back-to-back CIF titles this season. It's Rancho Verde. Sorry, amigo, I don't speak Spanish. It's Green Ranch in my book. Santiago, founded by Jeff Steinberg in 1842. I'm pretty sure that's not right. Well, I agree to disagree. I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen. One of the top high school football players this season will be Revs Kylie Fitz. It's nice to hear girls are playing football. Sua Cravens to USC? That can't be right. I heard he's playing football at UC Riverside. UCR doesn't have a football team. No football? You might want to get your facts straight. You sound foolish. Dumb. Well, thank Thanks for having me here on High School Gamma Team. It's still high school game time. Game time. I'm Pep Fernandez. You stay classy, Inland Empire.
That guy. Good thing he didn't get this job. HS Game Time Live. I'm trying to figure out a name for him, but between myself, Ron Burgundy, and that joker over there. Back to the highlights. More serious stuff. Less me. More highlights. Elsinore, Rancho Verde, the game of the night, maybe the shocker of the night. David Lassen standing by to give us analysis. Let's go to those video highlights from the first half of this one where Rancho Verde looked very good from the very get-go against the visiting Elsinore Tigers. And Rancho Verde did not lose a single game last season and en route to winning the CIF championship, defeating Palm Springs in that title game. So let's go to that Rancho Verde highlights. There they are. Last time we saw them was beating Palm Springs for the title. There's number 15, Damone Backus, the transfer from West Valley. Big-time linebacker. First play from scrimmage. Rancho Verde coming up with the interception. So they get the party started quickly. Then the first offensive play from scrimmage. Sophomore quarterback Sherion Jones on the keeper. Calls his own number. Get in there. 7-zip. The Rancho Verde on top. Then later in the opening quarter, Keyshawn Slaughter, another sophomore for Rancho Verde, on the touchdown run. 14-zip Mustangs on top. But Elsinore looking to get back in this one. Tommy Wilson, the quarterback, wearing number 22. You got to love that. To Ryan Laverdiere. Big gain up the middle to the 10-yard line. And that sets up Shane Pico. Later on that drive for the touchdown, right up the gut. That makes it a 14-7 game. Later in the first quarter, Sherion Jones breaks loose, calls his number again, goes in for the score. The Rancho Verde leading 21-7 at that point. Now we move to the second quarter, and the Mustangs, they know how to go to the air too. Jones to the University of Washington commit DeMaurier Stringfellow for the touchdown. That made it 28-7. The Rancho Verde, they led 28-19 at the half, but David Lassen is about to tell us that it didn't really turn out that well for Rancho Verde, David. So I left the game thinking Rancho Verde was going to go on to the victory against Elsinore. But tell us what happened in the fourth quarter here tonight.
Well, in the fourth quarter, basically Elsinore just ran through them. I mean, the wing T offense, they just kept hammering away.
So it sounds like it was 42-24. Rancho Verde was up in the fourth quarter. So how did Elsinore get those couple scores to make this a close game, and then eventually something wild happened at the end, right, to give them the win?
The play that won at the end, there was about 2 minutes left. Rancho Verde had got stopped at midfield, was facing about a 4th and 3, went to do a pooch punt with the quarterback, and Elsinore blocked it. Returned the block kick to 49 yards for the go-ahead touchdown with 1:36 remaining.
Wow.
Really ended up being a matter, I think, of conditioning. You saw a lot of Rancho Verde guys leaving the field with cramps in the fourth quarter, and Elsinore did not have that problem. They just kept hammering away. The thing that really impressed me with Elsinore that I didn't really expect with the wing T offense was the pace they ran it at, and I think they ultimately just wore Rancho Verde down.
They got to the huddle fast, right? I mean, they snapped that ball and they were gone.
Yeah, I didn't expect. I covered a wing T team years ago in my career, and it was not an up-tempo offense like this. But tonight, because they were trailing, they had to keep the pace going, and it really ended up working out in their favor. I mean, I was really impressed with their resiliency. They had 3 huge defensive plays that turned into for turnovers that turned into 17 points that helped them come back. Just a really impressive, gutty kind of performance.
And we're going to get to the Heritage highlights in just a second. Rancho Verde gets Heritage next Friday. I mean, should they be worried at this point, or was Elsinore, maybe better than what a lot of people thought?
Well, I think that what Pete Duffy emphasized to me after the game is this is a young team. As you mentioned a bunch of sophomores in the highlights. Yeah. It's going to take them some time. I think you saw that they have a lot of big playability in this game. I think that they are ultimately going to be fine. It just there's plenty of things to work on. I mean, they had a stretch tonight where they had holding calls 3 times in 4 plays. I mean, the turnovers. They did a lot of things well. They had a lot of mistakes. That was actually true on both sides. I think this was really a classic first game kind of game, in that you saw all the problems and all the promise for both these teams.
So maybe not truly representative of what Rancho Verde can still do this season.
I think that they still have, they put up 42 points without too much trouble. That's going to win most games. I was really impressed with what they showed offensively. I just think they ran out of gas.
All right, thanks, David. David Lassen here joining us, talking about Rancho Verde and coming up short against Elsinore tonight. Now let's go to Javier and the big scoreboard over there and take a look at that score. Let's go to that one right now, Javi. 46-42, your final score. Elsinore wins, and as someone said on Twitter, maybe Rancho Verde choked this one away. Not really sure, because maybe Elsinore is better. Maybe we should give Elsinore more credit for coming up with a huge win against a defending CIF champion on the road like that. So we'll have to see how that pans out. As we mentioned, Rancho Verde is young, starting quarterback a sophomore, starting tailback also a sophomore, so bear that in mind. All right, so we talked about Rancho Verde taking on Heritage. Let's come back over here to the HS Game Time Lounge, I guess. Is that what we're calling it, Chris? The Lounge. You saw Heritage tonight, the opponent that Rancho Verde will get in Week 1.
Heritage, middle of the second quarter is still zip, and people thought, hey, maybe this could be an upset too. We had 7-6. Let's roll to the highlights. They'll tell the story the best. Coach Broach probably wasn't very happy with his crew in the first 12 minutes. Slow start to the game, but also a slow trot into the end zone for Jamal Morrow. He would get the first score for Heritage.
That's my guy.
7-0, that's Pep's guy, yes. San Jacinto, though, as we said, not ready to roll over yet on the neutral territory over at Hemet High. It's Tanner Boots, my boots, scooting to the end zone. Boots, as Pep and Dave Stink like to say. 7-6 Heritage. And then if it's Heritage, I believe the H in Heritage stands for HEFO. This time it's Lima High HEFO with the TD, and the Heritage score 14-6 Heritage. Heritage defense also impressive tonight as well. They force a San Jacinto fumble. Cashing in on it, they would go by air. It's Matt, don't call me Terry Bradshaw. Throwing it up high, teeing it high, letting it fly to Pep's guy, Darius Allensworth. 6 for number 9. That's 20-6 the score. And hey, how about that guy, Mr. Cal Bear, off to the races? Was Jeff Tedford in the crowd tonight? Because he was putting on a show. The kickoff return for the touchdown, 27-6. Now the score, the Patriot D also cashing in on the scoreboard as well with a safety. Moises Valderia with the safety for Heritage, 29-6. Add in a field goal from there. 32-6. They were sweating bullets in the in the second quarter, but it was cruise control in the second half. They are ready to rock for Rancho Verde. I guess the question is, will Rancho Verde be ready for them?
Well, we just heard from David Lassen. He thinks that, I was out there too. They're good. I mean, they've got a lot of good players, but maybe Elsinore is better than we thought. Maybe Rancho Verde's.
Elsinore, just 2 years ago, they won CIF. Weren't quite as successful last year, but that's a program that seems to always be in contention. Rancho Verde, though, the kind of talent that they have can't be denied, but the talent for Heritage is still there. They've got some weapons on the ground, and I believe that game is at Heritage next week. Is that correct?
No, I think it's at Rancho.
It's at Rancho?
Because I was at that game last year. Rancho Verde beat Heritage 35-21 in Romoland. So
either way, though, you know the HEFO family will be in attendance.
They travel well. And the Taki-Takis, right?
Yeah, and the Taki-Takis. they will pack the stands regardless. Patriot Nation will be in full force. It was unfortunate because tonight the Patriot he didn't have his full costume on. He only had the helmet on. He said he had to send the rest of the costume in for repairs. So hopefully next week for the Rancho Verde game, they have the full costume going.
Just like the players, just like our show, we're getting into games. We're still, getting into mid-season form, so even the mascots included. All right, thank you, Chris. We'll see you again next week covering our premier game of the week. I don't know, maybe it's Rancho Verde Heritage. I'm not sure at this point.
We shall see.
All right, Javier, you know what to do. Let's go to the big board, the scoreboard. Let's go to Ramona-Rubidoux. 42-14 Rubidoux. They get it done. And the Falcons with a big win and defeat Damon Dustin in his debut as the Rams head coach. And let's swing just to the left there. We didn't get highlights of this one, Vista Del Lago and Tahquitz. But Tahquitz wins 41-7, so they open the season with a nice win, 41-7 against the Ravens. All right, so coming back here to the studio, we're going to take a quick break because there's some exciting news around here at HS Game Time. We're now putting all of our videos on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube, search HS Game Time, you can search Pep Fernandez, Hsgt, Rancho Verde, all these different words that are associated with high school football in the inland area. Search it, find it, and all our videos are on there. So please go check it out. If you're on YouTube, you can subscribe to us as well. But here's a quick little look at what HS Game Time is doing on YouTube. YouTube, very exciting here at the Press Enterprise and HS Game Time. All right, so this is supposed to be a live 1 hour show. We're going to try to keep it to an hour. And let's go back to the highlights. Chaparral taking on Cajon tonight up in San Bernardino. And how about them Cowboys? They go hard up there in Cajon. There they are. The Cowboys coming out strong on their home field. They actually beat Chaparral on the road last season, but check out Justin Harris. Puts it in the spin cycle and gets in for the touchdown. Justin Harris had a crazy good game tonight for Chaparral. Here he goes again, gets the carry. Skylar Seabold still nursing that injury. He said he'd be 100% by the time the season started, but as you can see, Chaparral, man, they just kept giving the ball to Justin Harris, and why not? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Harris, the long touchdown run here. And the Pumas, they can go to the air too. How about a touchdown strike there as Chaparral? They go on to defeat Cajon tonight by a final score of 42-20. All right, moving on. At Ramona Stadium tonight, Poly Bears hosting Citrus Hill, and as Miriam Swanson told you earlier tonight, Citrus Hill quarterback Trevor Hodge ejected from that game. We're trying to see if we have video of that, but for now we do have the highlights because it was the PJ Walker show tonight at Ramona Stadium. Let's roll those highlights, Angel, and check that out. In fact, Angel was our guy on the scene shooting this video, and there is Trevor Hodge early in this one, number 2. And the deuce is loose. Hodge calls his own number and goes in for the score on the keeper, and that made it 6-0 Hawks. Later in the first quarter, Poly with the ball, trying to get something going. They go to the air. The pass tipped, one-handed grab by K.J. Young for the interception, and then Young turns that into a great return there. That would set up this. P.J. Walker, number 4, in for the score, 12-0 Citrus Hill. And this highlight, like many of them tonight, brought to you by the letters P and J and the number 4. P.J. Walker, 48 yards to the house, 19-0 Citrus Hill. And Walker just doing it all night. Number 4 in for another score here. And Citrus Hill just pulling away from Poly. And this one, how about one more P.J. Walker score? It was 33-0 at halftime. And Citrus Hill goes on to pick up a big win against Poly, 40-15, your final. All right, now moving on. Damon Dustin making his head coaching debut for Ramona. They played on the road at Rubidoux. EPJ is standing by to talk about that game. But first, let's check out some of those early highlights from Ramona and Rubidoux. This was just after a blocked field goal, right, Eric? So that was Jesse Jones taking this one back about, 72 yards, something like that, for the touchdown there for Rubidoux. And then Daniel Young, he pretty much did the rest for the Falcons. Gets in here for a short touchdown, and then later more of a longer variety for Young on this touchdown run. We're going to say 67 yards about on this long scoring jaunt as Rubidoux goes on to defeat Ramona by a final score of 42-14. All right, over here in the HS Game Time Lounge, EPJ is joining us. So, Eric, impressed by Rubidoux tonight?
They got off to a bit of a slow start. They're known for their offense, what they can do rushing on the ground. Fumbled the ball on their first two possessions, so kind of a little bit of a hiccup there. But after that blocked field goal return, good excitement on the sidelines. The offense came out. Daniel Young, one of the best all-around players, despite the size of Rubidoux out there, comes through back-to-back carries, 17-yard touchdown run, 67-yard touchdown run, ends up with 6 carries for 127 yards tonight. So, they finally got things together. They're mixing up different formations. Used 3 different formations today, adding the pistol to their double wing and their triple option packages. So, after a little bit of a slow start, things look pretty good for Rubidoux.
So what were your first impressions of Ramona with Damon Dustin? And what about Malcolm Ballard? Did he do anything tonight?
Malcolm Ballard struggled a little bit. Rubidoux's defense kind of shut down a lot of the rushing game on there. But, they came out in a hurry-up spread offense out there. And a lot of good playmakers there for Rubidoux. They just had a little trouble with timing on a lot of their option read stuff. And they had a lot of drop passes today. But, some late sparks there. We got a couple late touchdown runs. Damon Mays is going to be a pretty good playmaker. He can throw the ball, pretty good arm. He can run the ball as well. So, and then Joe Hawley, also one of the many different running backs Ramona is going to try to use in this system. So,
all right. So Ramona is part of this River Valley League. We caught up with some of the coaches. The head coach at La Sierra, the head coach at Norte Vista. So let's go ahead and roll that tape and get their thoughts with joining this River Valley League that Ramona is also a part of. All right, so then I'm going to ask you about the River Valley League, and then I'm going to bring the
tremendous programs. They both won playoff games in a supposedly higher division, and now they're coming down to our. So, they're obviously the front runners, but there's us, there's Patriots, Rupa Valley, Ramona, all good teams. And any week anybody can beat anybody.
I tell you, don't sell these teams short. Rupa Valley's got a new coach. Ramona's got a new coach. Moreno Valley High School is just reloaded. Of course, our crosstown rivals, Norte Vista, very good team there. Patriots got a lot coming back as well. This is no easy league whatsoever. Since I've been associated with La Sierra, it's been game number 1. Now it's a league game. Now it's not just about bragging rights, but it's also about playoffs. And that's just going to bring so much more excitement to that game.
So Norte Vista playing La Sierra in a league game. That's exciting, right?
Yeah, that'll be if I'm not mistaken, I look back and it'll be the first time in, I believe, 17 years that, they play almost every single year, that Alvord District rivalry, but the first time in a league game, in 17 years. So, a little bit more at stake for those two teams.
All right, so the Inland Valley League looks a little bit different now. We saw Poly earlier, so Poly and North, right, moved to the Inland Valley.
Correct. That River Valley League, for a lot of those teams in there, it's going to give them a better opportunity to bring home a league title. We're looking at a lot of teams like La Sierra and Norte Vista. It's been a long time since they won league titles. La Sierra, Alaska has either been in the Ivy League for a while, and then most recently the Inland Valley League, which has been dominated by Rancho Verde. Norte Vista has been in the Sunkist League, which has been dominated by Kaiser, and then, of course, last year, the Rise of Summit. So, this kind of gives that opportunity for these teams to actually battle for the biggest prize of all, and I expect you're going to see a good three-way race between Moreno Valley, La Sierra, and Norte Vista right now for that league title.
Yeah, should be good, should be close. All right, while we got you here in the lounge, we got to ask you about the rankings. And Angel, we have a HSGT rankings. Oh, Angel is the man tonight. There it is, right there, the HS Game Time rankings. So, Eric, you and the reporter sat down, you crunched the numbers, you went into the lab, and you came up with this, actually the top 25, but we'll look at the top 10 right now. So how did you come up with this top 10? Rancho Verde at number 4, really? No, I'm just kidding. It's just one game. But how did you come up with this top 10?
Yeah, there was, the group of us kind of got together and we kind of went through and we just started taking off teams from the list. I think it was a unanimous choice at 1, 2, and 3. Vista Murrieta, I think a lot of people believe, clear favorite right now to be number 1. Centennial, even though they have a lot of replacements to make, especially at quarterback and running back, this is a team that's made it to the the championship game for the last 5 years. So it's hard to knock them off until someone does, beat them. And Rev, we know their defense is going to be great. Will the offense join in there? Rancho Verde, a tough stumble after a perfect undefeated season last year to let a lead slip away. That's probably the shocking one. The other loss in the top 10 this week is Redlands, but that's not quite shocking. Rancho Cucamonga, I believe, is one of the strongest teams out there in the state and one of the Inland Division's best teams.
Let me ask you about Summit. Summit with a big win tonight.
Yeah, I thought Etiwanda would have a better showing in their first game with Coach Tommy Leach out there, but Summit comes out there. They still have a lot of great playmakers out there, especially that defensive secondary with Charles Okonkwo and Justin Strong. So they're still going to be, even though Coach Burrell has moved over to Roosevelt, I still think Cesar Villalobos, the new coach at Summit, is going to have them playing right at the top of their game, and I think they're still easily the favorites in that Sunkist League.
All right, Summit with the big win against Etiwanda. Etiwanda gets Miller next week, so we'll see what the Rebels can do against him. EPJ, thank you very much. Angel, let's come back here to the lounge, and actually, let's go over to Javier. We'll go take a look at the scoreboard real quick, and Javier, which one should we go to? Let's go to Temescal Canyon, Murrieta Valley, because we do not have video of that one in this show tonight. But if you did not tune in earlier, we now have a new HS Game Time scouting report. It's our Saturday show, and we are efforting highlights from Temescal Canyon against Murrieta Valley. So Murrieta Valley, the Nighthawks, picking up a 35-15 win, so expect to see highlights of this game in the Saturday scouting report at HS Game Time. All right, back over here in the studio. Real quick, we want to tell you about a very ambitious fall schedule here at HS Game Time. We have a ton of football video coverage for you coming this season, as well as the non-football sports. And here's a quick look at what we're trying to do this season here at HS Game Time. There is only one place to get all your inland area high school sports action: HS Game Time. From stories to columns to pictures and blogs, and of course, video. HS Game Time's coverage of prep sports is unparalleled. We're rolling out the new fall lineup now on YouTube to bring you even more on your favorite teams. Get your week started with the Monday morning pep rally as we look at the week ahead in high school sports. Then Monday afternoon, it's your turn to be part of the show with the You Pick'em contest. You pick the winners each week of the high school football season. On Tuesday morning, we'll have your high school football plays of the week. Tuesday afternoon, EPJ Eric Paul Johnson will blow your mind with interesting facts and stats. We start Wednesday with our Athletes Week, featuring a weekly male and female standout from a variety of sports. And Wednesday afternoon, it's our prep profile, targeting the unsung heroes from the gridiron. By the time we hit Thursday, you better get your game face on, because we ramp up our pigskin coverage. Thursday morning, we'll preview that week's big games and storylines, and we'll have highlights from Thursday night's matchups. On Friday morning, the HS Time Roundup is back, showcasing highlights and interviews from the non-football sports. Then Friday night, the spotlight turns to HS Game Time Live every Friday from 10:30 to 11:30. Highlights, interviews, scores, and analysis, plus phone calls from the fans. And you can stay involved by posting on the HS Game Time Facebook page and Twitter. We wrap up our HS Game Time shows on Saturday with the scouting report. We'll have new, fresh highlights from Friday night's games and preview the next week. Now that's a lineup. It's a lot of high school sports, just the way we like it here at HS Game Time. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and give us a like on Facebook to stay up to date on all the latest news and videos. All right, one more time. We're going to run through all the highlights that we have tonight, and one more reminder about the Saturday scouting report. So the highlights that you do not see tonight on HS Game Time Live, check back tomorrow at HS Game Time for the scouting report. We'll have bonus highlights, fresh highlights, and some highlights of some games that we just showed you the score tonight. So we'll try to get to those as well. All right, we're going to run through the games, and we're going to start with Heritage and San Jacinto. And this game actually not at San Jacinto. It was actually at Hammond High School. Chris Erickley found out the hard way, actually went out there. So let's roll that video, Angel, of Heritage taking on San Jacinto. Coach Broach, one of the best football names, Craig Broach, the coach. Jamal Morrow, the slow trot into the paint there for the Patriots. They're beginning their march to another CIF championship game. They came up just short last season against Summit. And later, San Jacinto not ready to lay down. Quarterback Pedro Murrieta finds Tanner Bootsma into the end zone. That made it 7-6 Heritage, so maybe a close game here. But the Patriots decide to pull away in this one, playing at a neutral site at Hemet High School. This time it's Lima High, Hefo. Chris says the H on the helmet is for Hefo, not Heritage. Then later, Heritage, some defense coming up. They snatch up that fumble. They pounce on it. So the Patriots are back in business. It's Matt, don't call me Terry Bradshaw. Chris's best line of the night. To my boy, Darius Allensworth, I call him Megatron. And we'll just let you know that Heritage goes on to the big win against San Jacinto, 32-6, your final score. All right, back here in the studio, we're moving on to our next game, Elsinore at Rancho Verde. And if you missed it earlier tonight, David Lassen broke it down that Rancho Verde started off hot, and then Elsinore came back with a furious fourth quarter rally, and they end up beating the Mustangs. But we have first half highlights. What are you going to do? Let's go to those highlights, Angel, from early on. And the Rancho Verde started off great. There's Damone Backus wearing number 15, their star linebacker from West Valley of Hemet. Early on, first play of the game from scrimmage. And the Rancho Verde Department of Defense comes up with the interception. So the Mustangs go on offense. First play from scrimmage. Quarterback Sherion Jones, a sophomore, on the keeper. Get in there. 7-zip. Mustangs on top. Then later in the first quarter, it's Keyshawn Slaughter, the touchdown run. 14-0, the Rancho Verde. Still in the first quarter, Elsinore's Tommy Wilson. He's the quarterback, and he wears number 22. You got to love it. To Ryan Laverdiere, the big gain up the middle, and that would set up this. Right up the middle, Sean Pico, the touchdown that makes it 14-7. Still in the opening frame, Sherion Jones calling his own number. Just a sophomore, people. Breaks loose, 21-7. The Rancho Verde on top, and they kept piling on early. Second quarter, they go to the air. Jones to DeMaurier Stringfellow. 28-7, the Rancho Verde on top. But don't be fooled by these highlights because Elsinore came back. A furious comeback in the fourth quarter to defeat Rancho Verde. Final score, 46-42. Elsinore wins. Unbelievable. So a huge win for Elsinore. Rancho Verde, who went undefeated last season, starts off this year with a loss. Now let's go to Citrus Hill at Poly. Let's roll that video, Angel. Angel was at this game, got some good stuff. A lot of P.J. Walker, as you will see. Early on, Trevor Hodge, the quarterback. The deuce is loose. Hodge gets in there. He would actually be ejected from this game later. So Miriam Swanson breaking that news. Poly on offense, going to the air. The pass is tipped, and there's K.J. Young for the interception, and then Young turns that into a nice return. So the Hawks back in business, and business is good. P.J. Walker, number 4, the score. Citrus Hill goes on top 12-0. And this highlight brought to you by the letters P and J and the number 4, P.J. Walker. 48 yards on this scoring scamper. That makes it 19-0 Citrus Hill. And Walker had himself a huge game. This one going for 38 yards on the touchdown. And just a rough day overall for Poly. Walker getting loose on this one. We'll say about 64 yards as Citrus Hill goes on to defeat Poly by a final score of 40-15. So Poly, they'll try to rebound next week when they take on Ramona. That's why we got these helmets right here. Ramona taking on Poly in week 1, and both teams coming off of a loss. Let's go to the highlights, Angel. Ramona taking on Rubidoux in this one. Damon Dustin making his Rams head coaching debut. After a blocked field goal, Jesse Jones for Rubidoux takes this one back 72 yards for the score. And then Daniel Young, the Falcons tailback, goes in for the score there. And Young had himself a ball game for Rubidoux. This one's going to go 67 yards on the touchdown run as Rubidoux goes on to beat Ramona. Final score of 42-14. All right, back here to the studio. Chaparral taking on Cajon. Cajon beat the Pumas last season in this game. Let's go up to San Bernardino, Angel. Check out those highlights. And how about them Cowboys? They came out all pumped up on their home field. But Chaparral had other plans. Give the ball to Justin Harris. Did you really see that spin? He spins out of that tackle, goes into the end zone, and that was the beginning of a huge night for Justin Harris. How about another spin move? He goes in for another score, and Justin Harris was running wild on that Cowboy defense. Cajon could not stop Justin Harris. Another one. This one, a long touchdown run. And Harris, how about one more? And then this time they go to the air. Chaparral, they can throw the ball too. They go on to beat Cajon. Final score of 42-20. Now, Beaumont taking on Valley View. This is a game that we were thinking we were going to save for the Saturday scouting report, but we've got a little bit of video to squeeze into the show before we go off the air. So, Angel, let's go to that Beaumont Valley View video. The little bit that we got, we can tell you that Beaumont went on the road to Valley View, and they won by a final score of 30-23. So the Cougars pick up a win in week 0. Now they head back home to break open their brand new stadium against Citrus Valley, and that'll be in week 1 next week for Beaumont. And finally, there was a Thursday night game in week 0. Hope you didn't miss that. The highlights are already here at HS Game Time. It was Miller taking on Lakeside. Angel, let's go to those highlights as Miller of Fontana came out swinging against the visiting Lancers in week 0 action. The Rebels went on the road and they won this game in a blowout last season, but this one was pretty close. The Lancers looking to repay the favor. Lakeside's Dakota Wilson hits Sean Cabrera on the touchdown strike. 6-zip Lancers at the break. Go ahead, laugh it up. It's all fun and games until the duo of Wilson and Cabrera do it again in the third quarter. 14-zip Lakeside on top with Cabrera's second of 3 scores in the game. Then Lakeside up, but you can never count out Miller. The Rebels go to the air. Quarterback Michael Watkins to Devon Brown. He'll take care of the rest. What can Brown do for you? Miller gets on the board, making it a 14-7 game. Later in the third, Watkins makes his way to the paint. Get in there. The Rebels closing the gap on Lakeside, and I guess they're a second-half team because Watkins calls his own number right there. He's in for the score in the fourth quarter. And Miller erupts for 39 second-half points. Trayvon Jones, the pick 6 late in the game as the Rebels open the season with a 39-20 victory. And Tim Dutton was there last night. He joined me in Fontana for that game. So the Rebels did not have any points at halftime. But what happened in the second half, Tim?
Well, Michael Watkins really got it going. They had 4 fumbles in the first half, which is going to kill any offense. They moved the ball a little bit. Seemed like anytime they were going somewhere, they coughed it up. Second half, Watkins came out just a great athlete. Threw the ball really well. His legs, you can see on the highlights there, really got Miller going. That first touchdown pass, kind of a short pass that the receiver took all the way 72 yards. That just seemed to turn the whole game around. It really got Miller fired up.
I came away impressed by Miller. I know the CBL's always tough. There's some very good teams, but I mean, what do you think? I mean, are they going to hold their own in the CBL this season?
I think so. Rev's obviously the team to beat, but you look at the other teams, Redlands and the other teams in that league. Miller's got some really good athletes, a lot of speed. They got a linebacker who's they're going to have to pay attention to. He injured his shoulder, as you know, so we'll see how he comes back. But Watkins is just a great quarterback. He distributes the ball really well, and he's very good at just putting the ball away and taking off running. So he's going to give defenses a lot of problems.
Okay, with Lakeside, what about Sean Cabrera and Dakota Wilson? That's a pretty good 1-2 punch right there, right?
Pretty good combination there. They hooked up 3 times for touchdowns, and Lakeside's coach, they know they have some things to work on, but he was pretty encouraged the way the offense was going. He thinks they're going to get a lot better.
And Miller gets Etiwanda next week in week 1. That'll be a tough test, but Summit beat Etiwanda tonight. So
Summit looked good. Good special teams effort tonight. They had a couple of they had a punt return for a touchdown, and they blocked a field goal and returned it for a touchdown. So it really got them going.
Skyhawks picking up where they left last season, even without Tony Brill as the head coach. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate it. Angel, back to the big scoreboard. Javier, you know what to do. Let's go to the Elsinore Rancho Verde. That was the big shocker tonight. We'll show it one more time. In case you missed it, Rancho Verde started off very hot, and Elsinore with a furious second half rally, especially in the fourth quarter, and Elsinore stuns the defending CIF champions by a final score of 46-42. All right, back here in the HS Game Time set. One more time, we're going to remind you about the fan poll that we're doing here at HS Game Time. It's already here on the website. It's called the HSGT poll. You can go there and vote. And we've got a graphic, Angel, if you want to pull that up. You're the man. Question of the week. Which defending CIF champ will repeat in 2012? Rancho Verde, Summit, or Vista Murrieta? As we told you, Rancho Verde lost to Elsinore tonight. Summit beat a very good Etowanda team. And then Vista Murrieta did not play. They will open up the season next week against Thunder Ridge from the Colorado area. So those are your three selections. Go to HS Game Time and go ahead and cast your vote, and we'll tell you how the results fare next week at HS Game Time Live. All right, that's going to do it for tonight's show. Remember, we have a brand new show on Saturday called the HS Game Time Scouting Report. We'll have some new, fresh video and some analysis, and we'll kind of look forward to the following week's game. So we'll kind of preview the Week 1 games and recap tonight's action from Week 0 of the high school football season. We're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, so you can find HS Game Time on a lot of different platforms. Thank you for joining us tonight. And one more time, an encore performance of that other guy who almost was your host for HS Game Time Live. Have a good night.
It is a true honor to be here, a real treat, a real delight to be at the Press Enterprise, the #1 newspaper on the planet. It's been proven, #1. But how do you get video into a newspaper? I've been a fan of high school Gambit teams since I was a young little boy.
It's high school game time. 2 words, game time.
Gotcha. Who runs the show around here? Who is your leader?
Dave Zink.
Save Link?
No, Dave Zink.
That's what I said. Cave Stink.
So why should we hire you for high school game time?
I'm kind of a big deal. People know me. The Green Ranch Mustangs are poised to win back-to-back CIF titles this season.
It's Rancho Verde.
Sorry, amigo, I don't speak Spanish. It's Green Ranch in my book. Santiago, founded by Jeff Steinberg in 1842.